Hi everybody, it's Karla here and welcome to Tuesdays with Grace. This is our second course with our Maverick box quilt, and I'm very excited to show you some free motion ways to quilt it. These will just be ideas. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do and how you create it, how you will quilt it. But let's get started. First of all, I want to introduce the newest addition to the Grace family, and that's the Quilter's Evolution Hoop Frame. So it is a great new frame. We have pulled out all the stops. It is worth every penny that you will spend on it. We have gone and designed this frame to make it last. It's going to be the first frame you get, and you won't have to buy another frame because it's going to evolve with you as a quilter in your quilting, in your home, in your space. So what you'll do is you'll start out, if you don't have enough room, with the hoop frame. And the hoop frame is 5 foot, but you can turn it in to a rolling frame that extends to 12 foot. So that's very exciting. Nobody's ever done this before, but go online, take a look at this new beautiful frame. We have really gone and done a great job of designing it to make it last for you. It is solid, it is sturdy, it is smooth as butter. I mean, I'm talking about praises for our other frames, but this one I am so proud of because we really took care and they listened. And they heard all the complaints that we had, especially with the joints lining up, and you get that little bump when the joints are lined up. So they've kind of separated them so they're different segments. So it's just smooth from starting point to end point all the way across your frame. Take a look at it online. I know you'll love it. And like I said, it is an investment, but if you are a quilter and you are doing it all the time, you want the best. And this is absolutely the best. And so, like I said, go take a look at it and you'll really see why we have really pulled out all the stops and made it the best out there. So anyway, let's jump in, and this is the hoop frame that I'm using. You'll notice that the clamps are a little different. This pole right here is, it's got some grooves in it, but it ratchets. Cool. So you get that tension that you want, and then you'll just put your batting. Now, I don't have a backing on this because I might put a minky backing. I'm not sure what kind of a batting I want to put on it, but I don't want all the little designs to show through. I kind of wanted to make the backing kind of clean looking, so I may just stitch in the ditch all the way across straight lines. I'm not quite sure, but it will happen, and I will show you next week what I'm going to do. But in the meantime, notice how I'm using a double layer of batting, and I am going to stabilize my blocks as I'm quilting because I'm using bamboo batting. Bamboo batting is a little slicker, and just notice how your batting is and move it back and forth. And if it's slick and it slides, then you will have to not only base down, but tack down each of your blocks so that they don't move on you. You know, that's something that we always want to blame, like the automation or things like that. But the fabric gives and it moves. It's alive and well, but we need, as quilters, need to adjust our tactics and how we're quilting to make the quilt accommodate us, and so we will stabilize it by tacking down each of the blocks. So what I mean by stabilizing it is I would stitch in the ditch all the way around, like the triangles, to position it so it's not going to shift and move. If I was doing an edge-to-edge design with the automation, I would probably do that. Okay, so let's jump in and talk about different ways to quilt. Make sure that you use your pre-quilting checklist. Get everything that you need set up and together. For one of the first things is gather up all your supplies. Notice that I have gathered up all my supplies. Now I'm going to use more than one color of thread, so I pulled out all the different colors that I think that I might use. Now I probably won't use this one, but I might. It might add a little texture and make it a little fun. By adding this little lighter color it has the real light and a medium blue in it, and it might be nice maybe in the white. to make it look more like the fur. You know, the fur on the foxes, they have the chips, you know, they're getting a little gray. They have different coloring. So this might look really nice. Try it out, check it out. And what I do is I like to pull a little bit out and kind of just manipulate it right here. And so let me pull the camera over so you can see it. So I'm just going to kind of, and it kind of gives it a little texture looking, and that might look really good in that section right there. And it will offset it so it's light enough, and with the variegated look, it'll make it look like fur. So I might use that one. Then I have my white for the eyes. So I've got my Snow White, but this one here is our finesse, and it is the vintage blue. I thought this would be perfect because it's also variegated and it'll give that fur look as a, so see how fun that is? So that's going to give that a little more texture, make it look more like fur. And then I have my black, but I also have my variegated, which I may or may not use for my grays. This is Mountain Mist right here. I really like it because it goes from gray to a little white and then back dark. So it's kind of manipulating what I've done with the grays and the whites and the stripes. So, and then my good old smoky quartz. I love smoky quartz. It's one of my favorite colors. I use it all the time. I also like it because we have the pre-wound bobbins to go with that. Now, I may or may not, haven't decided. Well, I'm just using the batting as my backing right now. So I probably won't have to change and wind some bobbins. I could probably use the smoky quartz with all of these except for the white, and I pull out the pre-wound white. So make sure that as you're sewing that you're checking your tension with your bobbin and your top thread so that they're not pulling through and it doesn't look murky, and your knot is nice and even and centered correctly. And that's what we're looking for. Now, the black, I will just use in the black areas, but I want to make it have some texture. That's why I will probably quilt in his ears, just so it looks like, you know, he has some fur in his ears. So those are the colors that I was planning on using. And I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of why I was going to use them in those areas. Now, let's talk about designs and how we want to quilt it, and some ideas that I've gotten from some of you on how to quilt. Amy Westmeyer, she sent me an idea that I thought was fabulous, and I wanted to share it with you. She has been using tissue paper. She found that the laser was a little hard for her to follow, and she didn't like the look of it. You know, the laser does take practice, and the more you use it, the better you'll be. But a lot of customers, or a lot of you quilters, think, oh wow, it's going to be so easy to use the laser. It's not. So it does take practice, practice, practice. So Amy sent me a picture of her, how she quilts, and she puts a piece of tissue paper across her quilt, then she'll draw on it so she can see through the drawing. And then she quilts over the tissue paper and she'll just remove it. And she likes this method. It was very easy for her to learn the designs, for her to see where she was quilting, and she was putting little paw prints. See how adorable her quilt is? The little elephants. Yeah, it is just fun and very cute. So great idea. If you guys have any ideas that have really helped you, let's share them. That's what this community is all about, is sharing, so we can enjoy what we love and you know, with others, and get them involved. Okay, so thank you, Amy. Great idea. And now I'm going to show you a couple of my ideas. And then I would love to send me an email, Karla with a K, K-A-R-L-A, or hashtag us with Tuesdays with Grace and the question and answers if you have questions, or just hashtag us to send us your photos so that we know that you're following along, so we can follow along with you. Remember what Devin said last week? If you don't remember, go back and just watch that first little bit. He gave you some great information. We want to all become very involved in using social media the correct way, a positive way, to enjoy what we love. So let's jump in. Amy also said that she uses the pattern stick, temporary stick, and she just sprays it across to stabilize the tissue paper, which I thought was also a great idea. And I did have some of that. I did not have tissue paper. That's why I wanted to have her send me a picture of how she does it, but I did have some of this and I wanted to talk to you about this. This is great. It stinks a little bit, but it is great. It doesn't leave too much of a residue on your quilt, but you might want to test it first, okay? Just test it first and see if you like it, because it may not be for everybody. But if you're using a hoop frame, it does help stabilize your batting and your backing, and it may be something that if you're using a batting that it needs more stability and you don't want to stitch in the ditch, also you could use this to stabilize it as well. Okay, and here's another one. It's called Pattern Stencil. I've used it as well, so you could try both of those out and see what you like, make it your own way, okay? So I've got some pencils and some pens here. I've got my bobbins, everything. First of all, I just want to talk to you about designs, okay? I'm all about practicing your free motion designs and how you want to quilt it. So what I did is I printed out several copies of the quilt. We put the quilt design on it, so just print out that first page a few times so that you can practice your designs to see what you like. Okay, so for the star right here, and I'm going to just pull this over right here so you guys can see it. I thought it might be kind of fun, and I'm using a pen right here, so I'm going to use a double layer so it doesn't go through on the quilt, maybe even a triple layer, so it doesn't go through on the quilt, so that you can see what I'm doing. There were a couple of ways that we could do the star, okay? You could start here in the corner and do loops. So let me just turn the page so that you can see. So you could do loops starting right here. Try to keep them even and straight. And then you're going to do one on the gray, the same size, but then you're going to come back down and across. That's a nice, easy one. And loops are always nice, and they add that extra element where it's going to emphasize the star. Okay, that's a pretty one, and it's an easy one to do. Now, if you don't want to do loops, you're not comfortable with that, another thing that you could do is start at the corner and just do up, down, up, down, up, down. Or you could do them straight on. So you could start up like this, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Or you could add several elements, okay? That's another one that's really easy, very simple, and you think, oh man, I'm a better quilter than that. I can do something more. Well, you could even add a little feather in there, okay? So you could start out. So we'll do a little feather that's going back this way, and then we could just go like this, and this, and this, and then come back. Okay, so you could add something like that. That's nice too. All right, so let's talk about the star area, okay? And that was just kind of a little, what do we want to call it? Paisley. Let's call it paisley. Now you could add another little paisley inside there. You could do whatever, and then you could fill in this area right here with just little circles to emphasize it. That's really fun. Now I'm picking up my pencil, but or you could use the micro stipple foot, and that just emphasizes it a little more, so it makes it pop. Okay, so let's talk about the star right here, the star points. So one that I really like is the figure 8. I really like, it's very easy to do. So you're going to start right here at this point, and you're going to go up and loop and back, up and loop back, up, loop, back. Just go back and forth. Just have fun. Okay, that's one. And you'd want to do this one on both of these. So I'm just going to turn this. I'm going to start right here. And by practicing this really helps your muscle memory and helps you to know what you're going to do. All right. Then another one that I thought was kind of fun is I would take my ruler. I've got my ruler base on. So I'd use my ruler, and I would follow along a 1/4 inch in. Now, I'm not going to use my ruler right now, but I'm just going to eyeball it. So I would just go in, start right here, go down a 1/4 inch back up and across. Then I want to come back this way and just kind of do a loop like this all the way. And that's kind of a fun one as well. Now, you don't even have to go in a 1/4 inch to make it look fun. You could do that as well, just like this. And that would be fun. And then maybe you could fill this in with something, or you could do it again. So there's lots of different ways for you to quilt. You can make it as complicated as you want, or you could just make it simple and easy, because this isn't a quilt that's going to call for a lot of elaborate quilting. It's just really kind of a fun, simple, whimsical quilt, and that's what we want to add. We want to add a little bit of that whimsy. Now let's go to the fox. Little Maverick here. Okay. So as Amanda and I were talking, we were trying to figure out what's a great design. And she came up with a cute little design that I thought was kind of fun. And it was kind of my tiger eye, but coming into a point. This is kind of what I wanted the texture to be like for the fur. So I want to come down, go like this, and then kind of go like this. And then I'm going to come down again. Now see this little area right here? Now I'm going to come up, do another little spiral, and make it a point. So I'm going to just keep doing my points and come out. I'm going off the page, but see this little space right here? Now I'm going to do another one and go up and do a little point and come back down. And as the more you practice it, it looks much better quilted than it does for me to draw it out. But it's a lot of fun. So just practice it so you get how you're going to move, or what areas you're going to want to move in. And then we're just going to kind of keep echoing. And see this right here? I'm going to echo and kind of come back. And then I want to do another one. And just keep going. And then I want to come back down. And then I'm going to come into this area. And you can see I've got a little bit more practicing to do for this one. But the more I do it, the better I'll become. And I'm just going to echo back and forth till I get to a spot where I want to do it. Okay, so I was getting a little better over here because I was getting the idea down. So practice this one. It's really fun, and it's going to mimic the fur on it, but it's going to give it that little nap, you know, with the little spiral in it. So that one will be easy for you to practice, and she will have that online so that you can practice. Turn it several directions. So because we're going to be working on several different sections of the fox. Okay, so if you have a hard time with that, let's go to his face, and let me show you another little one that's easy to do. Let me show you this one. So this one is kind of going back and forth to a point, back and forth to a point. And see how that's kind of mimic the fur? But it's just different and just easy. A little easier to just practice, okay? So now we're just going to take it and then practice how we want to do it on the fox itself, okay? So right here, you could even practice this one going down like this to a point, and then go back up, back down. Now I want to go this way, back down, back down, back down, and then end up there. So anyway, you could just do that. And if you don't like that, that's kind of fun. You could do straight lines. Now we want to make his cheeks. Do we want to make them the same or a little different? That's what you're going to decide. And let me show you some of the ones that I worked on beforehand. This was with just the squiggly lines coming into a point. Right here, I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that with the pencil? There we go. And this one, I just did the points, so I just went back and forth all the way across. It's kind of fun. This, I started deviating, practicing the little spirals in there as well to make it different. Now, you could just do straight lines, and straight lines would be great. Notice how I did the eyes, and I'm going to do them in white. So they're just going to have that texture, but nobody's going to, see it. It's not going to be done in black, so it's not going to be that bold. The quilting is just to make his eyes stand out, so it's going to give it a little bit more pop. so your eyes will be drawn to his eyes. So think about the areas that you want to be drawn to, and the fox is the main focal point. The fox and the star are the main focal points, and that's where we want to do our best quilting, and we want to really decide how we want to accentuate him. So practice that, print them off, have a good time, and explore. Try something new, and don't just digress to the same old design. This is a chance for you to explore your inner quilter and pull it out. And look, I'm not that great, but I get better as I go along. So will you. All right, so here's another one that I did. I thought this was kind of fun, how I just kind of went down and back till the very middle. That was nice. And then this one, I did the same thing. And then for the fur, I just practiced the spirals. So it may be too busy, I don't know, as I'm quilting. So I'm going to quilt it out first before I jump in and do it. Let me show you one more thing, okay? I have a couple more things, okay? I have my Wonderfoot. I really like the Wonderfoot. I love the Wonderfoot, in fact, okay? Because it has several different lenses. I will use the crosshatch lens for my stitch in the ditch. I love stitching in the ditch with this. It'll help me go all the way around, back and forth. And that's what I'll do and I'll use, okay? Then this clear one is for me as I am drawing on my quilt. And it just allows me to see where the needle is positioned as I'm quilting, which is really important for free motion quilting. So try the Wonderfoot. It's one of my favorites. I know you'll love it. A lot of you have it. I mean, we've replaced a lot of lenses out there. So yeah, because they get lost, okay? So make sure you keep them together and don't lose them, but it's a great foot, and you're just going to love it. And it has that little spring on it, so it springs down. It feels like a walking foot on your machine, so it really does help you as you're quilting. Okay, then the next one was I wanted to show you how to print off the name on the quilt or using words just to free motion quilt. I sized it to 225. And then I printed it off, and it fits just right in here. But let me show you an idea. We're going to slow the machine down, and then we're going to sew out around. Now, because I have my ruler base on, using it, and it's kind of a block design, we may want to use our ruler to make it nice and straight, okay? And that may make all the difference in the world, so we can do that. But what I want to do is I want to slow it down, so I want to put my SPI. All right, so I'm going to make sure that I'm changed to regulated precise mode. Right here I'm using the 19X Elite Qnique machine, and so I can touch the screen and I can change it to regulated precise mode. Now that's my stitch mode that I'm using, the precise mode. When I stop, the needle will stop moving, which is great for ruler work. Now, one other setting I want to change right now while I'm thinking about it is my settings for my needle position. I want my needle to stop in the down position. So when I go in, I'm going to go over here. See these three lines? They're where I can go in and change my settings. So I'm going to just tap on settings, and I'm going to change the needle stop position. It's in up right now, but I'm going to change it to the down position. And now I can tap out of this by clicking on the X, and now I can change my stitches per inch. That's the SPIs. Now I could either slide it, or I could use the buttons. It doesn't matter, okay? So I'm just going to start out with 6. I may change that, but you don't know, okay? So I just wanted to show you what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to go around the M really quick and show you, and see how I pinned it. I pinned it so I hopefully won't hit the pins because I don't want them in my way. But I'm going to use my ruler, and again, these flat-headed pins are great. I'm going to turn it on. And because I'm going slow and I changed how fast the needle's going down, okay, now I can change the position of my needle, on my ruler, okay? And this isn't the ruler foot, and that's a no-no, you guys. I didn't change it. So anyway, do as I say, not as I do, okay? Just remember that, okay? So anyway, so we're just going to go across. And then I'm just going to keep moving my ruler all the way up and see. okay? And I'm going to go all the way up. And by me changing the speed, it's going to make it so that my holes, and I can use my pounce. This was just one way I just thought was pretty cool and really easy to do. And we're just going to go around it. And I probably won't get a lot of quilting done today, but by next week you'll see some really fun stuff done. And then we're going to emphasize and show you how to add some automation to it. That's what makes it fun, is you allow me to explore my inner quilter, and you are exploring your inner quilter. And I probably don't have to turn it off, but I wanted to show you. I want to be really careful as I'm going across this because this is the name. And I just wanted to be exact, and I'm probably not, but we'll see. All right, I'm just going slow. This is not a race. And then last but not least, and then I want to pull that needle down, that pin down, and then just move across. Okay, so now I can show you the pounce, okay? Now I'm going to put the needle up because I haven't threaded it or anything. And now I can take my pounce here, all right? And then I can just pounce over those holes. This is a little messy because it's been in the bag. So I'm trying not to get it all over the place. But now I can just kind of pounce right over the holes here. That is another way that you can mark your quilt, and the pounce does come out very easily and real quick. So then I would just thread my machine, follow along, use my ruler again, and quilt on it. There are lots of ways to do it. Practice, practice, practice. I know I've taken a lot of time today just showing you things, but that's the beauty of this. We can discover who we are, how we like to quilt, and just make it our own. I want to see what you do with your quilt and how you quilt it, or what you're working on. You don't even have to be working on this little cute quilt. You could be working on something else and show me and inspire me with your beautiful ideas. So thank you for joining me. Join me next week when we discover the automation and what we can do with it. And I look forward to seeing what you do on the next Tuesdays with Grace. So email me. Bye.